Hi YouTube, welcome to MA Academy Python for Penetration Testers tutorial series. In this tutorial, I will show you guys how to make your code more efficient and more organized using functions. Now the script that I created in the previous tutorial, which was to change your MAC address, it was kind of messy and cluttered. So in this tutorial, I will show you guys how to make it more organized and how to make it more efficient so that you can reuse the code and again without having to type all that code. So let's get started. Now I will go over that script that I created in the previous tutorial very quickly, but in case you still don't understand it, just watch my previous few tutorials and it will all make sense. So let me open this in here. So this was the script with which we were working in the previous one. So these are the two modules that I'm importing in here. Then I'm creating an reader object of the option parser class. So in here what it does is that it allows us to read in arguments. In here I am adding two options to the object. One is interface and the other one is Mac, and I'm saving it as interface and new Mac. And in here I am parsing the user arguments, and then in here the destination, as I said, was interface and new Mac. And in here what I'm saying is that take the values.interface and values.newMac and put them inside these two variables, interface and newMac, and in here I'm running these three commands which will change my MAC address. So still, if you don't understand it, don't worry about my previous few tutorials and it will all make sense. So I'll quickly make a copy of this one in here and we will work with the new one in here. So it will be nano Mac changer. So in here what I will do is that I will divide this code into two sections. So let's quickly do that. And this section for now, let's comment it out. We wouldn't need it for now being. So right now just concentrate on this part. So what it does is that in here we are creating an object. You are adding these two options, and in here the keys and the values. So the keys, these are the arguments, I and interface, and the values are whatever the user types in. For example, the new interface name such as ETH0 and the new MAC address, let's say 001122334455. This is the value. So whatever the user types, that will be the value. The keys are these options that you specify in here. Now what we want to do is that we want to create a function so that it would return this in here. The return will be this object that we created. So in here, let me quickly do that. Let's call this input. Sorry, we can't call it input because we already have by that name. So input values. Let's call it input values. You can call it whatever you want. And in here, so whenever you're creating a function, all the lines that come under it, it has to be indented. So in here, what it does is that again, the same thing. We are creating an object. It's doing whatever it was previously doing. Right now, it's just that we have it inside a function. Now, instead of having it inside this, assigning directly to the keys and values, we want to return it. So what we want to do is we want to return this object that we created so that we can later assign it to whichever variables that we want to. So in here we say return. So what it will do is that it will return this reader object. So then we can reuse it again and again and assign it to whichever variable we want. Next, what we can do is let's create a function for this as well, and let's call it change underscore Mac to change our MAC address. And for this one, we say it's interface and new Mac. So take the interface and new Mac. So in here, let's indent these as well. So this function, now we have two functions. This one parses the user arguments. This one changes it. Now, how do we use these two functions? So in here, you can see that previously I had this interface and new Mac, and they were being assigned in here by using the values.interface and values.new Mac. Now, what we can do is that we can do the same. We can say that, so in here, we had options previously. So now we have values, and then we have keys, and we say this is equal to input values. So what does this line does? So this line in here, you can see that previously we had something else. Now what we are doing is that we are saying this function, whatever it returns. So the return type in here, you can see that is this object reader dot parse underscore args. So in here we are saying whatever this object returns, save the values into this variable values and the keys into this variable keys. So in here we saw that previously, as I explained, this I and dash interface, these are the keys, and whatever we type after it will be the values. Now guys, in case it doesn't make any sense what I'm saying, please watch my previous tutorial, and in that I have explained it all in detail what this optors does. So if you don't understand what I'm talking about, watch the previous tutorial and it will make sense. So in here, what it does is that whatever it is returning, the values will be saved in here and the keys will be saved in here. So it returns two sets of information, one for interface, one for Mac, and it will be saved in here, two for values and two for keys. Next, we have to use this function to change our MAC address, right? So in here, what we do is we say the name of the function is change MAC, and now we say take the values dot interface and then take the values dot new Mac. So previously we assigned this interface and new Mac, we assigned it like this to these two lines, right? Then we ran this individually. So right now we are just we don't need to have these two variables. We are directly passing it inside this function to take then the values for interface and also taking the value for the new Mac, which will again replace these ones in here, this interface and new Mac, and it will run our command. So let's quickly save it. And if I do an ifconfig eth0, currently you can see that this is my MAC address. Now let's run our script. So it was Mac changer 06. So if we type in help, it says can't open Mac changer. Okay, sorry, Python 3 Mac changers 06.py. So if we type in dash help, okay, values, it says traceback most recent call, line 22 in module, and values keys input, name input underscore value is not defined. So what's wrong? Let's see it. It says it's on line number 22. So let's see it. So we are saying values and then keys, and we are saying it is equal to input value, and after that we are saying change underscore Mac values dot interface and values dot new Mac. So what's the problem? Input underscore values. So the problem in here is that it's value, not values. Sorry, it's values, not value. So if we run it again, now I will not edit this part, so it's kind of important to learn how to debug your program and how to troubleshoot it. So it's very important. That's why I will not edit this part. So this is how you can do it. You can just, whenever you see an error, just find the line number, read it, and it said that input value was not defined. So we changed it to values and it worked because that was the name of our function and I mistyped it. So right now you can see that we get this help. It says the interface, new Mac. Again, these parts, if it doesn't make any sense, don't worry, watch my previous tutorial and it will. So right now, let's say we want to change it. So how do we change it? So we say that the M. So first of all, let's type in the interface. So interface name is ETH0 and dash M as let's say 001122 and then 555555. Let's press enter. It's changing the MAC address, and if I do an ifconfig eth0, in here you can see that my changes have taken effect, and now we have a new MAC address. Now what's the advantage of using it? So let me quickly open this one in here. You might be wondering what's the point of doing all this in here. Now the advantage of doing it is if you want to use this again and again and again in the same script or in some other script. So what you can do is, like in here, this in here, this is a class. These are all the things that we can do with it. So we don't have to type all this from scratch, right? we are in here using this parser underscore args to parse these arguments. So all these things that we are doing in here, we don't have to write the code from scratch. These are just functions and classes out there which we are importing, and what we can do is that we can use it inside our function. So right now we can have a file with just these two lines, and that will change our MAC address, and we can have it somewhere else, it doesn't matter, or we can have it in the same script, and maybe we are creating a script in which we want to change the MAC address again and again and again. So the whole point of having functions is that you can use the same function and again and again and again without having to retyping everything again and again. So this kind of reduces the size of the code and enhances the readability of it, makes it more efficient, more readable, and it kind of gets rid of the clutter in your code. So in case if you're wondering why we have to do this, we don't have to do this. It will make the code more efficient, and it will make the code more readable, and it will take less lines. That's why it's recommended to do it. You don't have to do it if you don't want to, but I recommend doing it whenever you can, because it can greatly reduce the size of your programs. Now, having said that, this is it for this tutorial, guys. If you have any questions, suggestions, or recommendations, feel free to put it in the comment section below, and I will see you guys in the next one.